is Yahuwah, and greatly to be praised, in the city of our God, in the mountain of his holiness. Beautiful for situations, the joy of the whole earth is Mount Zion, on the sides of the north, the city of the great king. God is known in her palaces for a refuge. For lo, the kings were assembled, they passed by together. They saw it, and so they marveled, and they were troubled, and hasted away. Fear took upon hold of them, and pain as of a woman in travail. Thou breakest the ships of Tarshish with an east wind. We have heard, so we have seen in the city of the I Am of hosts, in the city of our God. God will establish it forever. Selah. We have thought of thy loving kindness, O God, in the midst of thy temple, according to thy name, O God, so is thy praise unto the ends of the earth. Thy right hand is full of righteousness. Let Mount Zion rejoice. Let the daughters of Judah be glad because of thy judgments. Walk about Zion and go about her, and tell the towers thereof. Mark ye well the bulwarks. Consider her palaces, that ye may tell it to the generations following. For this God is our God forever and ever. He will be our guide, even unto death. Yes. All praises to the Most High. Deliver me from the hands of evil spirits who have sway over the thoughts of men's hearts. And let them not lead me astray from thee, my God. Establish me in my seed, that we go not astray henceforth and forevermore. Jubilees chapter 12 and verse 20, a prayer of Abram. And before that we read Psalms chapter 48. Psalms chapter 48. Yes. Oh, good morning. Yes, we give God the glory and the praise. Good afternoon, good evening, for wherever you are, we give God the praise and the glory. Today is a day we should, as if with every day, we should praise him, giving him glory. Yes, for we are his children. Some of you too grown for God. You're just too grown. Some of you just, you want to be all clammed up in your positions and your education and your poise and all these other things. It don't mean you have to go crazy, but you should have a praise on your heart toward the Most High. And it ain't being serious. You are serious when you praise God. Yes, you are. Because God is worthy of all praise. He is our creator. We are his children. He's the father of all spirits. Good, evil, the spirits that's within animals, beasts, humans, whatever. The Most High is the father of all spirits, even as it states in some translations of the book of Enoch. The father of spirits is what he is. He doesn't beget anybody with nobody. No woman he has next to him. Neither does he allow or does he condone the copulation between spirit and mankind. No. It's a law in the spirit world that it should not happen. It's abomination before the Most High. God has already set in motion how he wants things with men, animals, and fish, yes, and birds of the air, that they should copulate and produce after their kind. Flesh and spirit cannot produce together. There's no way. God has not even conditioned it that way. For if it was so, then why would these hideous giants be born? Even in the book of Genesis, even if you're going to go a little further in the book of Enoch. Yes. We have to be careful. And then the stories they tell about, and they really go against God. And we should have more common sense than to think that a man born of a woman came from a created spirit. God is not a created spirit. God is the creator. He was never created. Now, he gives these spirits authority. He gives them certain things that they must do. There's some of them you wouldn't even fathom that they were spirits. Take for instance your sicknesses. They're evil spirits. Yes, they are. And manipulating the innards of your body. Think about it. Spirits, sun, moon, stars, all of these, as the wind. We don't know whether they're coming or going. We don't know. Your thoughts, are they spirits? But yet we learn different languages, different things, and they become a part of us. Are they spirits? Once do we remember them after a certain point in time? Or are we diminishing in the spirit of the mind, as they say, which really is your brain, your thought process? Yes, you're getting Alzheimer's. But either way, God is to be praised. And now we're in the 2 Samuel chapter 19. Yes, chapter 19 of the book of Samuel, 2 Samuel. And God is not kidding with us. He's got a plan. You don't see it. You see these nations warring, or you see the heap of people warring against each other. You see Africa rising. See, Africa is a mixture of all kind of people. Hamites, Shemites, and should I say Japhites. It's a mixture of everybody. Africa is not just conditioned where they split it off and said, "Oh, we're going to call that the Middle East." In other words, they're saying that's east of Africa, and what Middle East? That doesn't even make sense. In other words, it's a part of Africa. That's Northeast Africa. They don't want to give it to Africa. It has too much history. It has too much genius there. From Egypt all the way to the Euphrates. Too much history. And even beyond the Euphrates where you have Mount Ararat. Too much history. And the Most High did this for a purpose. It's not for us to even complain, but the fact is, He wants us to complain. He wants us to pray. He's provoking us even to jealousy, that we demand our history back, that we demand our culture back, that we demand these things that were ours back from those who call themselves Arabs, from those who call themselves Israelites or Israel or Egyptians. He wants us to have this jealousy, but most of all, He wants that jealousy that we want Him back as our King and our Creator. Yes, most of all. But nevertheless, this is going to be about a two-part reading here. So we're in 2 Samuel chapter 19. Yes, and it goes, and it was told Joab, "Behold, the king weepeth and mourneth for Absalom." Yes, Absalom, who had really no respect for his own father, not honoring his father, really, regardless of his wickedness, just honoring his father. And the honor is that leave it alone, leave it to God, period. Your father did not sin. Your father did not do anything to you or shed any blood of your kinfolks that you should come against him. No, he did not do it. And the victory, that verse 2, and the victory that day was turned into mourning unto all the people. For the people heard say that day how the king was grieved for his son. And the people got them by the stealth. In other words, they snuck. They quietly took up their places and left that day into the city. As the people began being ashamed, still away when they flee in battle. In other words, just sneak away, just quietly. Nobody noticing you. Incognito. But the king covered his face, and he cried with a loud voice, "Oh, my son Absalom, my son Absalom, my son, my son." And Joab came into the house of the king and said, Hast thou shamed this day the faces of all thy servants, which this day have saved thy life? In other words, they saved you from Absalom, and the lives of thy sons and of thy daughters, and the lives of thy wives, and the lives of thy concubines. In other words, you're crying a little bit too long for someone who was really out of order with God. If he would have just stopped at just demising his son Amnon as the seeker of blood and stopped there, he would have been okay. Now, in that thou lovest thine enemies, in other words, your very son was your enemy eventually after that he had done what the law had told him to do. And hatest thou friends, for thou hast declared this day that thou regardest neither prince nor servants. For this day I perceive that if Absalom had lived and all we had died this day, then it had pleased thee well. I mean, this was his understanding. This really was his understanding. He was saying, hey man, this is all you want was Absalom? Out of all these sons and daughters and concubines, or should I say wives? There's still an ambiguous terminology there. I mean, you prefer him over. We can understand you mourning for him for a few days, but I mean, Absalom was a goodly looking son, but it's over. It's over. A man who went and took all your concubines and laid them out and put them in beds and just hopped from one to another, or however you want to put it. And the king rose and sat in the door. He sat at the door. And they told all to the people, saying, behold, the king does sit in the gate, or the door. This is Old English, okay? And all the people came before the king, for Israel had fled every man to his tent. And all the people were at strife throughout the tribes of Israel, saying, the king saved us out of the hands of our enemies, and he delivered us out of the hands of the Philistines. And now he is fled out of the land for Absalom. They not knowing that this was the will of the Most High because of his sin in destroying someone that was really devout, not only to God, but to him. And Absalom, we anointed over us, is dead in battle. Now therefore, why speak ye not a word of bringing the king back? In other words, David is the king. Bring him back. And King David sent. Now see, if God was still king of Israel, this never would have happened. Never. Never would have happened at all. It would have just been peace. God would have steadily sent judges to the point where Israel would have got to the point where they just said, forget it, let's go ahead and subdue these people, just wipe them out and get them out of our lands. You cannot mix with heathen. You cannot, their evil is stronger than your good, simply because of the flesh. You cannot mix in those whom God have turned unto other spirits, whether they be a group or whether they be individuals, lest they rend you. Yes, they're going to be nice to you, but once that spirit come upon them, just like Saul against David, they're going to turn on you. And it's going to be worse. It's like many you've seen, they've had a good time and they drank and they had fun until one day, oh, we got him. This devil comes up in their mind. Recalling that which he is supposed to do. And next thing you know, there's a young man drowned in the river or hanging from a tree. You cannot. That's on you. When you start hanging with those whom God, you have to understand the spirituality here. You have to understand there's a spirit on these type of people. There's a spirit. And they will demise you eventually. In their drunken stupor, or either in their just detest and hate for you. In other words, they have a thirst for your blood or something. Now, and King David sent Zadok and to Abiathar the priest, saying, Speak unto the elders of Judah, saying, Why are ye the last to bring the king back to this house, seeing the speech of all Israel is come to the king, even to his house? In other words, bring him back to Judah. See, bring him back to Jerusalem, Jebus, which is really not where you think it is. The king, that Jerusalem is a different Jerusalem. That's not even the Jerusalem that they speak of here. The Jerusalem you see here, the city of David, is Jebus. It's located near the town of Tel-Ad in Israel. Yes, near the town of Tel-Ad in Israel. Yes, and it is, should I say, north of the Dead Sea. And yet at the end, near the end of the Dead Sea. So therefore, it's still a smoke screen that they put up. Jerusalem, the city of David, is still desolate this day. There's nobody living there. Even those that call themselves Arabs don't even go there. They have nothing to do with it in Israel. In other words, they feel there's a curse upon it. The stones are down there. The whole city is level to the ground. You can see the traces of it, but it's gone. Even Bethlehem, which is not too far from it, you can view it right from the hill which Jerusalem is on. It's on the hill in the sides of the north. It's the city of the great king. But many of you have been duped. God don't want you rebuilding that. Really, he doesn't. He has a city he's going to build himself. He has a place that he has for his people. Even in the book of Enoch, it talks about what God is going to do. Now, let us continue. He said, Ye are my brethren, in verse 12. Ye are my bones and my flesh, wherefore then are ye last to bring back the king. In other words, we all come from Judah, our father Judah. In other words, this is how close we are. They're all bone and flesh, but this is what they're, whatever you want to call it, trying to tickle their ears. He says now, and say ye to Amasa, thou art not of my bones, and of my flesh. God so do to me and more so. He's asking a question. Art thou not of my bones and of my flesh? God so do to me and more so, if thou be not captain of the host before me continually in the room of Joab. And he bowed the heart of all the men of Judah, even as the heart of one man, so that they sent this word unto the king, even David. Yes. Return thou and all thy servants. In other words, to return back to the city which is yours. So the king returned and came to Jordan. Now you have to remember, right now, this Ark of the Covenant is still in the temporary tent. Everything's still in the temporary tent. That remembrance is not gone. Now, and Judah came to Gilgal, and he's, verse 14, and he bowed the heart of all men to Judah, even as the heart of one man. So they sent this word to the king, and returned thou all to all thy servants. 15. And so the king returned and came to Jordan, and Judah came to Gilgal to go meet the king, to conduct the king over Jordan. And Shemael, the son of Gera, a Benjamite, which is of Bahurim, hasted, and came down with the men of Judah to meet King David. And there were 1,000 men of Benjamin with him, and Ziba, the servant of the house of Saul, and his 15 sons and his 20 servants with him. They went over Jordan before the king. And there went over a ferry boat to carry over the king's household to do what he thought good. Now you have to realize they was in Jordan. Now they had to cross the Jordan to get over to Tel-Ad. what is now Tel-Arad. Really, they did. They had to cross the Jordan, get over to Tel-Arad, go a little bit, should I say, west, southwest, and get into the city of David. And to do what he thought good. And Shemuel the son of Gera fell down before the king, and he was come over Jordan. Because you have to realize Jordan is connected to the Dead Sea. This is probably where the confusion lies right here as to where Jerusalem is in the land. And said unto the king, let not thy Lord impute iniquity unto me, neither do thou remember that which thy servant did perversely the day that my king went out of Jerusalem, that the king should take it to his heart. For thy servant doth know that I have sinned, therefore, behold, I am come the first day in all the house of Joseph to go down to meet my king. But Abishai the son of Zeruiah answered and said, shall not Shemuel be put to death for this, because he cursed the I am's anointed? In other words, hold it, this is what God put there. See, the idea came from David to put a Jesus there. Yeah, that's where the idea came from. A man. And David said, now David was more of a deliverer than what you would call your Isis. David, the I am used David to deliver the people from their enemies. What did your Jesus do? Did he deliver you from your enemies? Did he send any type of anybody back to deliver you? Did he deliver you while he was yet living? Oh, how can you speak such a thing? Read it. Nothing. And then they come and say, oh, if there were 1,000 books made, well, where are some of the books? If you so bad and you got all these books you say and you to validate this man is a son of God when Joseph is not even his father, that he just sits on the throne of David. You have some, and then you got a half-witted genealogy in the book of Luke that doesn't even justify you even bringing him as God. Yeah, there was a man back then. Yeah, there was a man back then. I give you that. There was a man back then, but that wasn't him. And then they tried to throw it off. How blind was I in that time to even know, to not even see this, what was going on. God have to open your eyes. I really do that. I do have compassion on those who do not understand. I do. Because you cannot see. You're still in the matrix. And David said, what have I to do with you, ye sons of Zeruiah? Or however you would pronounce that ye should this day be adversaries unto me. Shall there any man be put to death this day in Israel? For do I know that I am this day king over Israel, not just Judah and Benjamin, but all 12 tribes, so to speak. Therefore the king said to Shimei, thou shalt not die. Because one thing, Abishai was going to kill him. Period. Abishai ain't playing. And the king sware unto him. And Mephibosheth, the son of Saul, came down to meet the king, and had neither dressed his feet nor trimmed his beard, nor washed his clothes from the day the king departed until the day he came again in peace. Now listen. The beard. Notice, trim his beard. So therefore, Israelite, you are allowed to trim your beard. You're allowed to look neat. He didn't say chop off, he said round it off. In other words, you're going to cut it all down and out and stuff. No, you can trim your beard. Or should I say, not let it grow all the way down to the ground or get all scraggly and all messed up. Comb your hair, trim your beard, get it all right. Yes, you can trim your beard. And he answered, my king, O my king, thy servant deceived me, for thy servant said, I will saddle me an ass, and I will ride thereon, and go to the king, because thy servant is lame. And he slandereth thy servant unto my king, but my king is as a messenger, or as the old English, an angel, which means messenger of God, or spirit of God. So therefore, what is good in thine eyes? See, all of this is designed to confuse you, to throw you off the truths. So you have to really look at what are they talking about. When he says they're a messenger of God, an angel of God. In other words, God sent you. In other words, he has slandered, or Mashiach. Can be that too. Look it up. For all thy father's house were but dead men, but before my king, yet didst thou set thy servant among them that did eat at thine own table. What right thereof have I yet to cry any more unto the king? And the king says, why speakest thou any more of thy matters? I have said, thou and Zuba divide the land. And Mephibosheth said to the king, yea, let him take all, for as much as the king is come again in peace unto his own house. And Barzillai, the Gileadite, came from Rogelim, and went over Jordan with the king to conduct him over Jordan. And Barzillai was a very aged man, and 80 years old, even 80 years old. He had provided the king sustenance while they lay at Mahanaim, for he was a very great man. And to end this, the king said unto Barzillai, come thou over with me, and I will feed thee with me in Jerusalem. Yes, we'll stop at verse 33. And we know that God is restoring the kingdom of Israel back to David. After this, David has endured. He chased David all over Jerusalem. You're going to read about this again, even in 1 Kings, Chronicles, yes, about how Absalom went after David. More details, more things that may not have been picked up here in the second book of Samuel. But David, there's a lot more that happened. See, the kingdom of Israel is fallen now. It's gone down. There's going to be a moment of peace with Solomon because of God's agenda, but it's fallen. Man cannot rule man. Man cannot rule man. Because of the spirits. The only way man can even deal in the land. Man doesn't need any ruler. If he has the statutes, ordinances, and commandments of the Most High, he doesn't need a king. All he needs to do is obey that which is in his heart already, to tell you the truth. He knows what is good and evil. He knows that his way of his adulteries, his fornications, his lying and his jealousies, his covetousness, his idol worship. He knows these things are wrong, for there is only one God. And his search is for that God, but many things plague his mind and have sway over his heart, the thoughts of his heart. Abraham understood this thousands of years ago. But the kingdom of Israel has fallen, even over a man's lust for a woman. This is where it failed at. You see what I'm talking about as we continue. But with this, we're going to say, with all that we do that which is in your heart, of his commandments, statutes, ordinances. If you don't know them, read them. It'll tell you. And with all that, we're going to say, if you do these things, you're going to have peace.
Walk with me.